Hey guys, it's Dotti again. I'm sitting here at the Kulttempel in Oberhausen. Besides Miss Isaac from Empathy Test. Hi, first of all.
Hello.
Hi. You are playing here today. That's the reason why we talk. But first of all, to people who absolutely don't know what's happening now, maybe you can introduce yourself. Who are you and what's the part in the band?
My name is Isaac and I am the lead singer and songwriter of a synth pop band originally from London, UK, called Empathy Test. And this is actually our 10-year anniversary tour that we're on now. So it's been quite a long time. We've been on the road already.
Yeah, I think so, and I think there have been happening lots of things in this time. We can't talk about the whole story of the tour. I think you could write books about this, but maybe you can tell at least 2 or 3 important turning points of the story so far.
We kind of had success online pretty much immediately. Our first song that we made and self-released is called Losing Touch, and it's still our most popular song today. So it kind of went viral in a few different ways. First of all, there was the Liverpool Football Club end of year kind of roundup video made by an artist friend of ours, Richard Swarbrick, and he used Losing Touch in this video that went viral, and so that introduced a lot of people around the world, because obviously Liverpool Football Club has fans around the world, and Richard used a few more of our songs in some other animated videos that he did as well, Kira Lee and Cats of YouTube compilation, and that kind of got us going. But also a guy called Robert Grund in Dresden heard the song, and he was going actually to come to our very first live performance that we did in London in September 2014. He actually missed his flight and didn't make it, but he sent in his place Thomas from Wave Gothic Treffen. And at the time I had no idea really about the dark scene at all, and I had no idea what VDT was, and he came up to me at the bar after the performance and said that he runs a little festival in Germany. Yeah, and so I presumed we were talking, some small tents in a field. I had no idea what he was talking about until I mentioned it to we had a record label who released our second EP, Throwing Stones, later on in 2014, and the guy from the record label, Mark Roberts, who is also in his own band called We Are Temporary, he was like, "Oh, like Wave Gothic Treffen, are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, but what's that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's only the biggest alternative festival in the world." And I was like, "Oh, wow, I guess I should contact him." And I hadn't even taken his email address or phone number or anything, so it took me a while to get hold of him again. But then Thomas booked us for Wave Gothic Treffen 2015, and Robert booked us to come and play in, I think, beginning of December 2014, Reithalle in Dresden, where we supported Curly and Camera, and that was kind of our introduction to Germany and to the dark scene. I remember us walking through the backstage, and Robert was pointing at all of these posters of bands saying, "Oh, they've played here," and we didn't know who any of them were. And probably 5-6 years later, we'd performed with almost all of them. Division, Mesh, VMV Nation, Covenant. I think the only one that I remember that we haven't performed with is Project Pitchfork. I think that's the only one. So, but at the time, yeah, we didn't have a clue. So.
Yeah. Pitchfork are playing here, I think, in 2 weeks at the same place.
Ah, okay.
So yeah,
cool.
I hope I can get an interview with them as well.
We did get invited to perform. They did an open air concert at some point, but it didn't happen in the end. So we almost did.
But that's funny. So you come more from the pop side of the synth pop. You have been inspired by other bands, maybe, or how did you get into this specific kind of music?
Well, we originally started the band because we watched the Drive movie with Ryan Gosling playing a getaway driver, and the soundtrack is all synthesizer based, and we both loved the music in that movie, particularly the Real Hero by College and Electric Youth, and we were just, myself and Adam, who was the other founder member and produces the music, we were having a conversation about it, and he was like, oh, we could make a track like that easy, because it's just arpeggiated bass, synth bass, kick snare and a nice vocal, and it was just really interesting because it somehow worked. Before I was doing acoustic singer-songwriter type stuff, ballads, and Adam was making quite heavy dance music, breakbeat music, like kind of like the Prodigy, and we never quite worked out a way of working together, but this kind of synth pop sound just really worked. It's something about the synthesizer sound gives everything such a kind of dark and uplifting quality to it, that worked really well with my vocal. And actually I think we completely misfired because we were trying to make this cool American sound, but I, as our fans will know, I wear my heart on my sleeve with my lyrics, and there's so much emotion naturally in my songs and in my vocals that it was never going to sound like that kind of very chill, like cool American sound that we were kind of going for. So and we made Losing Touch, and it's obviously been very popular with the alternative and goth scene.
I think so, yes. Just one question, but you knew the old 80s heroes, for example, like Depeche Mode or the Human League before?
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, Depeche Mode is not a band that I had listened to too much. I do remember when I was very young, my mother was always buying second-hand cars that would last a few years and then blow up or break down or die. And one car that she bought, an Austin Allegro. It was like the worst car that she ever bought, and it was brown and obviously like from the 80s. And inside the glove compartment was a cassette tape, a recorded cassette tape that said Depeche Mode on it. And I don't think my mum knew who they were, or at least I certainly didn't. And it sounded so exotic and strange that I wanted to know what it was. And we listened to it, and maybe it went in and came out. Yeah. And I remember hearing songs of theirs, over the years. Obviously the 90s stuff. I remember liking Barrel of a Gun when that came out. But as I say, the Depeche Mode weren't a band that I really got into, and I do really love 80s music, and I do listen, but I kind of listen to a lot of modern stuff that's influenced by 80s stuff, because the 80s is just refusing to die, because it really was like a kind of golden age for music and music production.
Sure.
Everything like went really downhill in the 90s when they switched to digital and people didn't really know what they're doing. And I mean, I like grew up listening to Britpop bands, and when I listen to those albums now, I'm like, oh, it's really difficult to listen to because it's so thin and kind of tinny. But 80s music has, still sounds really good now, most of it.
I think it's because the analog synthesizers have been affordable, and then that was a sound. Yeah, as you mentioned, now it's digital.
Yeah,
it can be the same, but it's not like the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I never really believed it until, I mean, Empathy Test has drawn some criticism from some parts, some people, for using VSTs, using digital. But, when we started, we couldn't afford to buy synthesizers. We had a computer and software. And so we didn't really see the need to have them. I mean, interestingly, years later when we made the first two albums is all completely digital. When we made the Monsters album, our keyboard player at the time, Ollie, had Dave Matthews Prophet, and he was also really prolific in writing stuff. It's just every time he touches an instrument, he's writing something. So we really liked the sound of the Prophet as well. And so we got him into the studio, aka Adam's bedroom, and we got him to play his parts on the Prophet, and that really added like a more natural, organic feel to it. Particularly having someone play the parts rather than, just writing them in MIDI. Yeah, sure. And that kind of coincided also with bringing the live drums that our previous drummer Chrissy had introduced. She did 1 or 2 tours just playing pads, and then she was like, I want to play a real kit, and she recorded herself, doing a hybrid with the two, and it sounded great. So the next tour we had live drums, and then when we made the next album, we were like, let's bring the drums in, and it worked, really nicely for tracks like Monsters, which is I don't know, I guess entering more the realm of like Placebo or something than. And as someone commented about our performance last night, they'd seen us at Wave Gothic Treffen in 2015 and been they really liked the minimal setup that we had then, where we just had like tiny MIDI keyboards and laptop on tripods and drum pads, and we were really different from anything else. And they kind of compared it to Kraftwerk, and then this person saw us last night and said, we'd sort of transformed completely into an indie band, which I don't think is totally true, but it adds a lot of energy having like a real synthesizer and a real drum kit.
You can play really live. Yeah. Not only making start and stop and.
Yeah.
Like this, I totally understand. But one thing about the VGT I have to ask. When you never have been to the scene before, to the dark scene, so what did you think when you met all of those people being styled as goth and stuff?
Well, I mean, the first weird thing was when we supported Curly and Camera, and everyone was wearing black. And I mean, like, I've kind of since fallen into line more because it's easier to have black t-shirts on tour. They don't get dirty. You can't see the dirt, at least. I remember when we went on tour with Mesh, I just went out and bought, 10 black t-shirts. But yes, walking out onto the stage to rows and rows, I guess there were 500 people all wearing black all the way to the back of the room. And there was no music when we walked onto the stage because we didn't have an intro or anything at that time, and everyone was completely silent, and probably none of them, or very few of them, knew who we were, and we just walked out and were like, hello, we're empathy testing, and off we went. And it was that was really weird. And we also had white t-shirts that we were selling white t-shirts, and obviously didn't sell any, so the next time but no, I mean, we kind of considered a goth band just because most of the festivals and stuff that we play are in Germany and alternative, but when I look at the audience, there's such a wide range of people come to our shows, from 10-year-old kids with their parents to elderly people, and everyone in between, so I don't think we're really just a goth band or just a alternative band. We write pop songs basically, and I think it's kind of we've been being told for our whole 10-year career that we have a mainstream, wider appeal, but it's somehow never happened. I think maybe just choosing to stay independent and not have a record label or a manager kind of pushing us in a certain direction.
Yeah, I think this is the main problem, to get into mainstream, to have all those connections to get into radio stations and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's been 10 years, and I'm kind of happy with the level that we've got to. I think when you start out, obviously you want to play the biggest possible places, and sure, it would be nice to be as successful as Depeche Mode, but at the same time, it's quite nice being able to walk down the street without having to wear, cover your face up or whatever. So, yeah.
And I think, for example, playing venue like this, like Kulttempel, at the main stage is also really cool.
Yeah.
It's one of the bigger ones in the scene, at least. Here.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely still growing, and the ticket sales on our first tour, our tour of Germany last year, coming out of the pandemic, were really, really good, because people had tickets for so long, because it had been postponed for 2 years, and we sold out a few shows, and so this time we, with quite a few places, we went one bigger, and it's really paid off. I was a bit worried that it was just a kind of, because, as I say, the tickets had been on sale so long last time but people are coming back, and we're now selling 300, 400 tickets, where before we were selling 100, 200.
Really good.
Yeah. And to be able to do this without, as I say, a record label or management, it's pretty amazing, and really it's the only way that I can afford to do this as my full-time job, is because there isn't a record label taking upwards of half of the money. So yeah.
So you do almost all of your own? You're still a DIY band? Or
We now have distribution. For the first time, we signed a deal with Speaker at the end of last year. So now you can buy our vinyl on Amazon and all kinds of record stores and stuff. So that's one thing that's obviously very difficult for an independent band, physical distribution. obviously digital's easy, and so yeah, really we need to release a new album though in order to kind of keep the people interested and keep the back catalogue selling. But Poponaut told me that we are one of only 3 bands in the scene that continually sell between albums. So I guess that's down to me constantly being on social media and touring all the time as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as you mentioned, it's a full-time job, and then you have to do it like a full-time job, being present,
yeah,
playing, talking to the people and stuff, doing interviews with people like me.
yeah.
But okay, we will talk about the new record, but first of all, you mentioned the last tour, and I think there's been a live record of this. Time to Be Alive.
Yeah.
And I've seen all of the recordings have been in Germany.
Oh yes, yeah. We recorded it on our last German tour. I mean, basically, there's the live circuit in Germany is the best in Europe, possibly the world. I mean, I haven't played in like South America, Central America, and there's plenty of places I haven't played, but we have toured the US and the UK and Sweden, and a few cities here and there, France of course last year, and it really is there's way more venues for mid-size bands at our level to play, with great sound systems, great lighting rigs, backstages, catering, and we just get looked after so well here. After this tour of Germany, we're going to the UK, and I'm preparing, mentally preparing myself, because half of the places like have a tiny box room for the backstage. There's no catering, there's no hospitality. You get a sandwich from the supermarket if you're lucky.
Not even a pizza?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we sell a fraction of the tickets that we sell here, so that that's part of it. I guess the more tickets you sell, the better you're going to be treated. But that's not always the case, I think, and also the venues here as well look after their staff as well, and I guess quite a lot of them, it's their full-time job. Whereas when you play in London, these people have been at work all day, if it's a Friday or a weekday, and they're turning up after work at 5 o'clock. That's the earliest they can get there, and you've got to try and get 3 bands sound checked before doors open at 7 o'clock, because the curfew is 11 o'clock, or in some cases 10 o'clock or 9:30. So everything's rushed, everything's like broken. So yeah, I'm preparing myself for a big drop down in everything really. But I mean, of course the fans are great, and they're just as supportive as they are over here, and I'm just sad that we can't give them as good a show. I mean, actually, to be fair, London, the Garage is a really great venue, and the guys there do an amazing job with the monitoring and the lighting and everything. They really do a great job. But in the other places, we can't give people as good a show as we give them here in Oberhausen, where there's a great lighting rig and sound system.
Totally understand. It's all the total things around the crew, the stuff.
Yeah.
This is important to make a show good. It's not only the artists.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we're relaxed and not stressed out and not freezing cold, we can do a better show as well.
I totally understand. So, and I think you want to go and relax to the hotel a little bit
sure,
before the show. But you mentioned it. You had the last record, the last studio album is from 2020.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Time's ticking.
How? Yeah. What's the state of new music, new stuff?
Well, we kind of have a problem as many bands end up having. As I mentioned, Empathy Test was founded by myself and my friend Adam, and I've made Empathy Test my life. Adam used to perform live with us 1 or 2 shows, but he could never spare the time to do a 2-week tour or even a week tour, because he has lots of other things that he does, not just music, other things as well. I'm kind of like all eggs in one basket kind of person, and he's more like eggs in lots of different baskets. So for him, it's a hobby rather than a career, and he doesn't rely on it financially like I do, and he is busy with other things. His attention is elsewhere, and I have been, nagging him to make some more music with me, and unfortunately it's had the opposite effect, from than I intended. He sat down recently with, I've written a new album's worth of songs and made demos of them, and he sat down with them, and he said nothing happened, he said these songs were some of the best songs that I've written. So it's not, I'm not saying that the songs are bad, they're just not clicking with him. My suspicion is that he hasn't done any Empathy Test music for a few years, and to expect to just sit down and it all just flow immediately, it takes time to kind of rekindle the creative flames, so to speak. I know that when I was writing the songs that I had to sit down every day and play for an hour and just try and write a song, even if it was terrible, and then the next day write another one, and the next day, until it kind of started working again. But because he's busy with other things, it was just like, I have this time, it's not happening, and so right now I can't tell you when there'll be another album, which is obviously very sad, but it's not like a closed door situation. It's not the end of Empathy Test, but at the moment there needs to be that kind of spark, or that makes it happen, and basically in the meantime, I'm going to release some songs. I've already released one, House of Cards, which got to #1 in the Deutsche Alternative chart, and is still in the top 10. I think it's at #5 after 5 weeks. So I'm really happy with that. It's kind of not that different from Empathy Test, but a lot faster and more danceable. I wanted to make something that people could also dance to, which, I don't think Empathy Test has really made any kind of dance floor ready tracks.
You're not that up tempo.
Yeah. So I wanted to with my solo stuff, to try and kind of tick a box that we haven't ticked. So look out for more songs from me soon, but I'm having to make them one at a time because
maybe you have some free message to the people outside, some people you want to read, for example.
Thank you so much to all of our listeners and all of our fans, wherever you are in the world. Keep listening and keep supporting us. We really appreciate it. as an independent band, we really rely on you to share our music, comment on our Facebook posts, whatever you can do to support us. It means a lot and we really appreciate it. And as I say, I hope one day there will be some new music from Empathy Test. In the meantime, look out for Isaac Howlett.
Perfect. So thank you for the nice talk.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys outside for watching. Check out Empathy Test. It's really cool. And I would say bye and cheers. Bye bye.
Bye.